In life, there are many things that I have learned at this age of mine. I find that majority of my time is spent on my family and working. So, family-wise, there are issues that we have to understand, and they are most important is whether the family stays as a unit or are they areas that we need to improve our family life. Other than that, things that the family has to work within the unit. Most of the time when I talk about lessons in life that I've learned is usually directed to my career. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for many years, and I only joined nursing at a very young age, and I've been in the clinicals for a long time. I find that caring for patients are very important because that is the core of what nursing is all about. Caring is about making sure that the patients gets well and the patients gets what we call discharge from hospital. When the patient gets discharged from hospital, this is where I find that it is really a feeling that I find rewarding, because you make a sick patient goes well. And especially important when the patient says, okay, nurse so-and-so, bye-bye, thank you very much. It doesn't have to say very much. It doesn't have to be gifts and things like that. It's just a word of appreciation. And I find that nursing is a noble job and it's not very easy to get by. So I understand when I looked at nursing students, a nursing lecturer in Ngee Ann Polytechnic, I find that nurturing and growing the students' foundation is very important, because with this foundation, it's like gardening. You plant seeds and you water them and you talk to them and you see them grow. And this is exactly what is happening with our PET students or our diploma students that have gone through with them for this many years. And I find that when you nurture them that way, it's about caring and it's about having to know that when they are in clinicals, there are always somebody to guide them and to make sure that the environment where they are practicing is safe. On top of that, the patients that they are caring for is also safe. So that is the most rewarding thing for me. Other than that is about making sure that my students graduate after 3 years. On their graduation day is the most rewarding thing that I find being a teacher. 18 years in Ngee Ann is a long time, and I've seen the student grow from year 1 when they are with me until year 3. And this is the most rewarding lifetime for me. It's my career. I think it's also nursing. When I was at a very young age, my teens and in the early 20s and things like that, I never thought that I would be a nurse. I thought that I either would fly, that's mean cabin crew, or to be a teacher in NIE. However, because of a friend who inspires me, or should I say who begs me to do the interview. Last time we had this interview for nursing. She said, "Joe, let's go for the interview to be a nurse." I said, "I don't want to be a nurse." She said, "Never mind, you come with me." So we went for the interview, and it has 3 rounds of interviews before we actually get successfully being picked to be a nurse. This is the 80s selection of nurses. The first round I went, I got it, and she gets it as well. We move on to the second round. The second round, I get it and she gets it also. When the third round came, I got it and she didn't. So my interviews, all 3 was paid, and they picked me to be a nurse. That was under the School of Nursing. So I'm a nurse in the clinicals for a very, very long time. And the most rewarding and achievement is about professional development. When I was a young nurse, my first area of achievement was not actually to do my degree or anything like that. I wanted to climb the clinical field, right? The clinical setting field. So I did a management paper. And when I did the management paper, because I know it's related to managing the ward, managing people. So I did that. And after that, the other achievement is when I went overseas to study for my advanced degree. This is what is the new generation, they call it. In my time, it's called post-basic nursing. And when we do post-basic nursing, it will become a specialty of ours. Like if you do an ICU course, you will become an ICU nurse. So I did trauma and I did orthopedics. It's about bones, fractured bones, bones disease and things like that. So I did this in the UK. I went in late 19 and I stayed in the UK for about maybe 3 years before I came back to Singapore. So when I came back to Singapore, I've got a specialty, which is orthopedic and trauma. And I wanted to work in the Singapore health in nursing field. But that period of time, I was not too keen because you know why? It's a 42 hours shift. And in the UK, I'm so used to the working hour, which is shorter. It's about 37.5. So I said, okay to myself, pick a hospital that has a 5-day week. And Gleneagles, the private hospital, was the area that I moved because they've got 5-day week. And on top of that, Gleneagles at that period of time was only about 180 bedded hospital. It's a small hospital and I like it because everybody knows everybody. And on top of that, they provide meals for us. So if you're on a shift, you get free meals, goes by coupon. So I don't have to spend a lot of money on meals and I don't have to go out in the sun to look for meals. So that was a thing that I liked about the private hospitals. So I did that for about 2.5 years and I developed the A&E department in Gleneagles and the ambulance service. That period of time. When I was in Gleneagles as a staff nurse, but so therefore, because I know that it's only 5-day week, so I have to drop rank and drop some money. Okay, it's fine because I need to adapt. So adapting towards the Singapore healthcare is very different from the UK healthcare system. Yeah, so I adapted, and I enjoyed myself developing things. So after 3 years, that was my achievement. So I said, oh, okay, the Singapore healthcare in the private is what I like. It's about me being my own responsibilities, my own calls, in a sense that I need to know exactly what I'm doing. All right, nobody's going to teach me because I'm a registered nurse. And on top of that, I have my advanced dip or my post-basic course that makes it more safer for me. So I have to relearn. And yeah, it is an achievement to relearn again after so many years. And that was already post-grad 6 years. So that was the thing. So I relearned and worked in the Singapore healthcare, which is Gleneagles. So I did Gleneagles for about 2.5 years, 3 years. And then I went to the UK back to do more studies. So I went back to the UK to Sheffield. I did hand and trauma. Yeah, hands trauma and plastics. So then I came back and I joined Gleneagles again. It's a very safe place for me. I find that Gleneagles is an achievement that I can come back to. And yeah, they take me in. So when they take me in at this period of time, I was not on the wards and I thought that, Mrs. Lee knows me already, so maybe I might not get a job for a staff nurse lah. Then really, I went for the interview and she says, no, there's no job for a staff nurse. Mrs. Lee, she's the director of nursing at that period of time. Then she left us and she went to NUH and she became the chief nurse in NUH. But at that period of time, it was Mrs. Lee. So I did that with her and I find that she tells me no job for me. Then I was saying, wow, I study so hard, I have my own post-basic and I need a job now, right? Because I've been a student for a long time. So she said, no, Jo, I give you a job. I said, but you said there's no staff nurse job or senior staff nurse job. She said, I give you a NC role, a nurse manager's role. And that is where the management paper that I took, I felt that was really an achievement for me. I don't only have a nursing background, but I have a management paper background and I felt safe. And she told me, on top of that, Mrs. Lee tells me, you can do it, don't worry, you just do it, close your eyes, do it, I know you can do it. So because I worked with Mrs. Lee before I went back to the UK, you see. So I did that with her for 2 years and then she left to NUH and I went to Nanyang Poly. So I teach in Nanyang Poly. So after I did Nanyang Poly for about 3 years, and then I did aviation medicine because I find that I need to keep myself busy and updated. So I did aviation medicine with this place called ISOS or AEA International. It's a flight nurse thing, right? Where we nurse the patient in the air, and we pick the patient up from, example, like Indonesia, and then we fly the patient into Singapore healthcare system. So that period of time where we are traveling, we're transporting the patient from point A to point B, I nurse the patient. And there's not very many people because there could only be an anesthetist and me, or maybe another nurse, and most of the time it's just one doctor, one nurse. So the pilot looks after us. Yeah, that was the good thing. So I flew there. I was a flight nurse for about 3.5 years, full-time as their staff nurse. So yeah, I did that. After that, that's another achievement that I find. Then I came back to Gleneagles, and I did the NM position again. And then after that, I moved to Raffles. I stayed in Raffles. There were no what we call NMs and NCs, but we are all nursing officers. Nursing officers are sisters on the ward. So I stayed in Raffles for about 7 years. So I managed the students, I managed the ward, and I do what the staff does on clinical as an NC roles, but the roles was never defined as NCs. It's a nursing officer, and I managed the ward for a nurse manager's job. So it's a dual thing that we do in the private. And I find that's another rewarding thing and achievements for me. Then I had my master's, and my master's is not in nursing because I find that, I have so many nursing paper already. Why should I get another nursing paper, So I did a master's in social sciences and bracket counseling. So I've got a master's in social sciences. So I'm a clinician in that sense. So but I still never give up nursing because I love nursing. Somehow or the other, it makes me feel cool. I find that it's a very rewarding and noble job, and that's why I stayed in nursing for a long time. In totality, Miss Jo has been in the nursing field for about more than 30 years. When I was 19 till now. Now I'm already quite elderly. But it's okay because at the end of the day, it's not about that age and number. It's about one's understanding of life. After Raffles Hospital and after my master's paper, I decided to move vertically, alright? Or should I say horizontally It's horizontally. So I moved in a line, and I didn't want to climb because the next level of nursing officer is actually your nursing managers. They are equivalent to your what we call your assistant directors in nursing in the restructured area. So I'm not very good at writing protocols and procedures, so that was not my forte. My forte is very much in clinical base. I decided, and also because the night duty was quite frequent, and when you are on night duty in a private hospitals, you look after the whole hospital. So if you have to go and collect medications for the patient, administration of medicine, you have to be the pharmacist. If the patient is discharged, you have to take the medicine from the pharmacy to give it to the patient. If the patient goes into theatre, you have to be the runner if they don't have enough people. If there is a maternity case, you need to be there to support the maternity fellas, and that goes with ICU and things like that. So it's basically a multitasking thing. When I was in RH, we are called on night duty. The nursing sisters have to do this. So I find that why I left Raffles is because the night duty was really giving me a toll in my health. The frequency is very, very close. So I don't like night duties, to be honest. And sometimes I tell my students, I don't like night duty because it creates a toll for us. It shifts your body, sleeping hours and things like that. So it's not what I like. So that's the reason why I went over to Ngee Ann. And Ngee Ann just started. Ngee Ann started in 2005. I joined Ngee Ann in 2007. And until to date, about in August, I semi-retire after 18 years with Ngee Ann as a full-time lecturer. This is another rewarding achievement that I find, because academic teachings or academic education is very different from clinical skills education. It is something that I never expected to do. So if you ask me what is my achievements in nursing, I say I have reached both of my first achievements of what I wanted to do. Remember I told you earlier, I wanted to fly, and I did a flight nurse, and I wanted to be a teacher. And yeah, Ngee Ann gave me the opportunity to stay and teach students and guide students and nurture them basically. So this is it. This is my achievement. So now I'm an adjunct lecturer. I semi-retire.